540 ESPN.
We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks. You see, KYJ, things have changed just a little bit since the last time you were here.
I think you should see your oculus. Nothing wrong with my feet. I'm talking about your eyes.
I can even make my ass do tricks. Watch this. You have any idea where you are? You're in the jungle, baby. This is WCW. That's right. Hold on.
For over 10 years, the world's #1 source for professional wrestling news and information. And once again, here's your hosts, Damian Nelson, Frank Cosentino, and the man they call Meathead. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Welcome all over the world to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. We are live Monday night, March 1st, 2010. Coming to you here from the beautiful downtown Milwaukee studios of 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Damian Nelson sitting alongside Frank Cosentino, the Cos, and the sinister minister himself, David Hero.
I'm right, and I'm happy.
But see, you know what? I don't like how happy you are for being right. You who preached for so long, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
And I'm both right now. You can't beat that.
Happy because, is David Hero, Sheamus makes his return to WWE Raw tonight in what is an accelerated launch, it appears, to a match with Triple H at WrestleMania 26.
Has a good ring to it, doesn't it?
It really does. I'm not sure any of us ever doubted you.
You think there'll be
hold on, Frank, cause you said Sheamus was going into WrestleMania as the champion in the main event.
That was the plan. He's still going to wrestle Triple H at WrestleMania. But the same way Bret Hart is going to wrestle Vince McMahon at WrestleMania.
Great, we'll get to that in a minute. But you said he would go in as champion.
I did.
Okay, so you're not right, but you're happy.
I'm 1 out of 2. Yeah.
We have a lot to get to tonight, including the just concluded WWE Raw. We're going to give you some hot news.
It's all about the hot news.
Going to answer the phone zone in just a few minutes at 1-800-990-ESPN and 276-ESPN. Again, that's 276-ESPN and 1-800-990-ESPN. Talk about WWE Smackdown, which we had the privilege of being at live last week, and also TNA Impact and Wrestling 101. David Hero schooling the masses as to the basics of professional wrestling.
And
as I said,
I hope you're
is
taking notes on that one.
the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN, ESPNMilwaukee.com, and streaming live at PWRshow.com. Rashi Brown, the Skull Crusher, is going to be joining us for Hour 2. Gentlemen, WWE Raw just going off the air a few minutes ago. The match was made. Vince McMahon versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania 26. Kaz, your thoughts overall on that interaction with a J.J. Dillon-like Vince McMahon and Bret the Hitman Hart, the Barefoot Hero?
Didn't work. I thought that maybe Bret Hart would shed the cast and maybe hit Vince McMahon with the. It just didn't happen. It was something missing there.
Well, Bret Hart's never been strong on his promos.
Ever. March 13, 1997, or March the Raw before WrestleMania 13. You screwed me. Everybody else screwed me. Everybody in that dressing room knows I'm the best there ever will be when you shove Vince McMahon down.
Hey, the people are getting what they want.
They're getting what they want, but in this
Bret
case,
Hart.
But no, they're getting what they want. I agree with that.
I think now they are. I think now they understand the history of what went down between Vince and Bret.
Well, for the new fans.
Exactly. I think initially people were a little confused as to the significance of this storyline.
But what they've done is now they've educated a whole new group of people, about Bret Hart. Senior intern Cal, he wants Bret Hart action figures now. He can beat up Mr. McMahon.
I've got a broken leg, idiot. That was the line of the promo, I think.
That was the line of the night.
It ended with a dud, though.
It did.
Bret's acceptance was just like, you
want to fight, fine.
Here's the thing. Vinnie Mac is so smart, he probably booked it that way to make sure he's the strong guy, in the program.
So that'll be like a street fight, probably,
Think about it. Every segment so far, Vince has left the ring with the upper hand. He's always made Bret look kind of silly every week.
All right.
Which sets up then Bret winning at WrestleMania.
Absolutely. He's not coming in.
Okay, all right. Any of you ever broken a limb?
No, I'm much tougher than that.
It takes more than 30 days to heal, I would presume, huh? So we're told tonight Bret Hart has a broken leg. How's he going to wrestle at WrestleMania?
Well, that's still another 3 weeks off.
Frank, I'm just looking at what they told us tonight. He's got a broken leg.
He'll be there. He's Canadian.
Oh, he's a hero.
They have the Canadian drugs up there that'll help heal.
It's like great healthcare system, huh?
I don't know about that, but maybe one of our listeners will call in and talk about.
Did it make you want to see Bret Hart versus Vince McMahon based off of what we saw tonight?
Well,
yeah. I mean, I'm interested in seeing how it finally ends, because it will end at WrestleMania, maybe.
No, for me, it wasn't tonight, but it's been the build-up to tonight.
Yeah.
If they were banking on tonight just to sell the tickets, maybe 50-50. But so far, the build-up has been done fairly well.
Speaking of build-up, another segment, another angle playing out on Raw tonight was the disintegration of Legacy. The question I ask is, does anyone care if Legacy splits up?
I think only one person really cares.
Who that?
That's you.
Why so?
Because you're so concerned about Cody Rhodes. You want to know which way he's going to go.
Well, he's going to be the breakout star.
Yeah.
Along with Ted DiBiase.
Yeah, that's why it was DiBiase versus Orton tonight.
Cody came in, ran in.
You know, all he does is interfere. Really, think about it. He's the reason Legacy is breaking up.
I'm fine with that.
Because he keeps dropping the ball and kicking out of bounds.
Kaz, your thoughts without trying to slam me.
It's eventually going to happen. Get these two guys in a single arena between the both of them and see how far their career goes. I think both of them have great potential to be singles wrestlers for a long time.
A three-way.
You got a fever? You feeling well? You're saying Cody is... Oh, man.
I said potential. I didn't say he was going to be. I think he's got potential.
Don't get hot. Just ask the question if you got a fever or not. All bent out of shape over there, champ.
Yeah. Will it be a three-way at Mania between Legacy? Or will it be DiBiase versus Orton? Or what are you most intrigued by?
I think it'll be a three-way.
Honest to God, I could really care less. Seriously.
And he means it, folks.
Randy Orton should not be in that program right now.
Where should he be?
He should be with somebody else.
Who? Who that?
Kofi Kingston?
Honest to God, it doesn't make a difference. No one cares. Put it this way. Like I've said for the past year, Legacy has been Job Squad 2009, 2010.
Put him in Money in the Bank.
Lay me, pay me?
Yeah. All they should be doing right now, I mean, yeah, it's meaningless. They've done nothing to build up Legacy to make them relevant against Randy Orton. Nothing.
They've tried.
What have they done? Nothing.
They had some vignettes.
But they're not there to build up Randy Orton. Isn't it the other way around? Isn't Orton there to build them up? Don't they need Orton more than Orton needs them?
Okay. How has Randy Orton built them up when he keeps...
Just by being associated with them.
He keeps beating them up. They never get over on him.
Outsmarted him last week. Quote, unquote.
Well, no. Randy Orton RKO'd Ted DiBiase last week.
How did Randy Orton get out of the Elimination Chamber a couple of weeks ago?
Randy
Got
Orton
pinned by Ted DiBiase, right?
Right, but I'm just saying but it's always, what have you done for me lately?
Janet Jackson?
Absolutely, Janet Jackson. She's in control, damn it.
Right where we want her to be.
But the last 2 weeks, Randy Orton has gotten the best of Legacy.
Okay. I'll give you that.
I think it's going to be a three-way dance. And I'm going to agree with you a little bit, Dave, that it will be a match that no one cares about. But eventually, one of those, well, you're not a fan of Cody Rhodes, but I think they both have.
Are you not a fan, Dave? Is that what's going on around here?
We are not. Obviously, you're not.
I don't think he's as wonderful as a lot of people do. You know,
a lot of people like who? A lot of people like who?
There's a lot of people
like who?
Like you. But here's the thing. Obviously,
I compared him to one other superstar.
Who?
Evan Bourne.
So now you're comparing that they're equal?
No, they're not equal at all.
Mm-hmm.
Two different.
Here's the thing. I guess that, they have confidence in Legacy. That's why they've been working with DX for the past year and John Cena for the past year. They work with all the top guys for the past year.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
So if you had to take those between DiBiase and Cody Rhodes,
mm-hmm.
DiBiase has probably a more prolific career.
And here's why. Here's why. Because DiBiase looks more like a wrestler.
Cody's a little small.
He is a little small. I mean,
bigger than all of us, but he looks a little small.
Well, he's bigger than you. Not bigger than me.
I'm cut. Yeah. Put together.
Okay.
Swing.
You know, I mean, put it this way. That match is the one I'd go and, to the concession stand for, or out to the merchandise table. I wouldn't watch it.
Beer match.
Beer match. Popcorn match, as Tito Santana would call it.
A lot more happened on WWE Raw tonight. We're going to talk about that, including what was a psychedelic pair of guest hosts in Cheech and Chong. The conversation continues in the Chatmosphere at PWRshow.com. This is the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Did you miss an interview? Don't worry. Listen to it right now on ESPNMilwaukee.com inside the audio vault.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. We're live Monday night, March 1st, 2010, coming from the beautiful downtown Milwaukee studios of 540 ESPN. Damian Nelson here along with the Cause, David Hero, and the man they call Meathead. Rashi Brown's going to be joining us for the second hour, and the conversation goes wild in the Chatmosphere at PWRshow.com.
The show starts at 10, right?
Yes, it does.
I was just checking.
I do have a question from the Chatmosphere, Damien, if you'd like to.
No, remember, you don't read those anymore.
No, this one's easy.
Nope.
It's the big one in red.
Let's continue talking about WWE Raw and DX reformed to try to get their WWE Unified Tag Team titles back from The Miz and The Big Show, and they were unsuccessful. As a matter of fact, when I talk about stars I'm over for, and one is The Miz, who got their second pin on Shawn Michaels tonight. I think it might have been The Miz.
Yeah, you're right.
How many times did we hear a song tonight?
Once.
Thank God.
You weren't paying attention?
Thank God. No, I was paying attention. I'm just making a reference to the point that in one taping here at the Bradley Center last week,
we heard it seven times too few.
Times.
I'm a little distraught. I'm a little distraught about Shawn Michaels getting rolled up here. Because he's on a losing streak right now.
Yeah, he is. But he cares about nothing but The Undertaker.
But see, here's the thing. If he's going to keep losing going into WrestleMania, he should not beat The Undertaker then. He should just keep losing all the way out.
So you're distraught about him finishing a career, quote-unquote, like
you know what? He needs to retire.
He says that he knows nobody thinks he can beat The Undertaker. Triple H comes out and says he knows Shawn can beat The Undertaker. And let's give it a try at the tag straps again, because you won't have to defend those titles for 30 days, which conveniently puts us right at the Raw after WrestleMania. But tonight it would be a failed effort from Team DX.
Thank God. DX is finished.
I think that's it for a while.
For now.
They'll still sell their merchandise and stuff, but I think that's...
They weren't wearing DX gear tonight.
They weren't. Well... So they're finished for now.
They wore the T-shirts to the ring with the glow sticks, but their gear was not DX.
Right. They'll still sell the merchandise because it's there, but as far as them together, I can't see it until weeks after WrestleMania, if that.
Would you guys? Is it safe to say that Shawn Michaels is one of the greatest of all time?
Sure.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
So then why does an Undertaker picture rolling his eyes in the back of his head distract him? He should know better than that.
Because he is so focused.
I'm telling you, it's over. Shawn Michaels needs to go home. He's lost his smile again.
Thursday Raw, Thursday Live. Let's talk about the Money in the Bank ladder match, as we saw two new superstars qualify for that matchup at WrestleMania tonight, the first of which being Jack Swagger.
That took a minute
and the second being MVP.
That took a minute and 34 seconds.
Exactly. Two very short matchups. Zack Ryder and Santino Marella, the people on the other end of, on the losing end, rather, of those contests. Now we know who's in Money in the Bank. We know it's going to be 8 people this year. Jack Swagger, MVP. Shelton Benjamin, Kane, and Dolph Ziggler qualified so far for Money in the Bank. It's shaping up to be a good match.
I still think John Morrison gets in there somehow. Yeah, I do too. I don't know.
I'm a mark for Dolph Ziggler as well.
Well, we talked about that, Frank, during the
Christian's match.
We talked about that, and we both believe that Morrison's going to find a way back into the match. I don't think Christian's going to win the match, though. Even though Christian's going to be the star of the match, I don't see him winning it.
Wasn't it Christian's match last year?
Sure was.
It should have been.
So does CM Punk get in there too?
Yeah, but
Year 3?
But here's the thing, though, is Christian is going to be then challenging his brother, Edge.
The ENC connection? 5-second pose?
And that's going to be a great match.
Run-in?
The people are going to love that.
All right.
There's that word again. Not appreciated. That's twice now.
Next week, Chris Angel is the guest host. It's going to be a mind-freaked Raw. Vince McMahon has announced that he's going to take on John Cena next Monday night on
and
Raw.
Why shouldn't he? Why shouldn't he?
Why shouldn't he? How about why should he?
Why should he?
You say what's wrong with it. I say what's wrong with it. You say what's right with it.
Well, no, because on the other channel, the other owner of TNA, Hulk Hogan, will be getting in the ring.
You really think that had something to do with it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There is massive ego involved.
And then that match will be the 4:45 match here Central.
Vince McMahon, put it this way, both Hogan and Vinnie Mac are going to be watching both shows in the back. And that's how they're going to dictate what segments fall where.
I was going to say, they're going to tweak the show on the
Do you really think WWE is going to do that right away?
Absolutely.
From January 4th, do you think that woke them up?
No, but here, it's ego. Vince McMahon is telling the world that he is just as big a star as Hulk Hogan.
We're going to talk about TNA going live head-to-head against Raw later on when we talk about TNA Impact. Good discussion started already, but Raw tonight hosted by Cheech and Chong, and it was a bit of a psychedelic Raw.
That wasn't Chavo Classic?
At one point it was, yes.
Okay. I thought that's who it was.
So the Lucky Charms have some type of psychedelic effect on people.
You know, there's a local wrestler, the hardcore hippie Eric Freedom.
Mm-hmm.
He would have Fruit Loops. He'd throw those out to the crowd. I wonder if they stole that idea from Eric Freedom.
Borrowed.
Oh, they stole it. All right.
But Eric's glad you mentioned him on the air, so.
Oh, absolutely he is.
Overall, your thoughts on Raw tonight. We'll start with you, David Hero. It was eventful, but rather uneventful at the same time.
You know what was eventful was Alicia Fox in the Wonder Woman T-shirt. That was awesome.
Did she spin around at all?
I'm sorry?
Did she spin around at all?
No, she did not. She took a hell of a bump, though.
Yes.
It was almost
Here we go.
And then, of course, Sheamus.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Was Gail Kim in that match?
Yes, she was.
Okay.
She took a bump to the outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So overall, you give it a pass this week's Raw.
Sure. Just because of, that's about it.
John Cena and Batista. Good promo between the two, as you said about Batista.
Promo.
It was long. What I thought was great was watching Sheamus kick the head of Triple H into the announcer's table, which then
Sheamus out of nowhere after being absent last week,
which cemented his WrestleMania.
Remember,
moment.
Triple H
not as champion.
Triple H was absent last week as well. So
we're going to be entering the phone zone in just a few minutes. You can join us 800-990-ESPN or all over the world at or locally at 276-ESPN. And as always, the conversation goes on in the chatmosphere at PWRshow.com. Kaz, your thoughts on WWE Raw overall tonight?
I give it a passing grade. Forget about Cheech and Chong. Take that out, and it may be a little bit better. But I like the ending with Sheamus. We were all wondering, well, where is he? And then ta-da, kind of shows up. And overall, as I said last week and again this week, I think the Batista-Cena thing will be just fine. I like the way Batista is right now. So it's a passing grade, but it's nothing special. I did not like the Bret Hart ending to that. It missed something. But again, the match is something that we all want to see anyway, just for, just to end that finally.
You know what would have been cool?
What would have been cool,
is
Dave?
instead of Vinnie Mac saying he's going to wrestle John Cena, he'd say he's going to wrestle one of the new Hart Dynasty members.
Ooh, because they still haven't been mentioned in this
Not at
scenario.
all. Not at all.
It's like they're not there. Is that why they've been relegated to superstars?
Probably. But, I mean, I see that they want to pop raid, and that's why they got John Cena.
Or Bret Hart would have said, no, I'm not going to wrestle you. And fine, next week, Vince McMahon said, fine, I'm going to take out, I don't know, one of the Harts.
Right.
Yeah, but if he does that, then he's the coward. He had to accept tonight after he got punked.
Owned.
Yeah. Or as Mita would say, pwned. Is that one of your words?
Not one of my words, but thanks for involving me in that conversation.
Well,
with all the heat aside, of course, there's love between you and me.
There's tons of love. It's all about
Meat, your thoughts on WWE Raw tonight overall, pass or fail?
Flat. Fail. I mean, just thank you, Fish. It was flat. To be honest, the second I saw poor Tommy Chong eating the Lucky Charms, it's just, and then the whole psychedelic thing. Please, out.
That's what happened, right?
Seriously, literally out cold. Woke up during the Batista Cena match, put me
so wait,
right
if you
back
were
to
sleeping,
sleep.
how are you going to give it a pass or fail?
Because everything I woke up and saw didn't keep me awake.
But you didn't see the whole show.
I saw
then
most
obviously
of it.
you wasn't watching the pillow fight.
Ooh, yeah.
I could have watched that on G4 on International Ladies of the World or whatever it's called.
Live.
Yeah, but you got to pay what, $40 for that?
For a 24-hour block.
Well, to be honest, Damien, the entire show that I saw, it didn't keep me at all.
When we come back, we're going to answer the phone zone. Remember, you can be a part of it locally, 276-ESPN, or all over the world, 1-800-990-3776, 1-800-990-ESPN. The conversation continues in the atmosphere at PWRshow.com. This is the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Check out Wildy's mailbox today at ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. We are all the way live Monday night, March 1st, 2010. And coming to you from the beautiful downtown Milwaukee studios of the 540 ESPN. We're going to go into now Pro Wrestling Report phone zone and your chance to call in and talk to us.
Wait.
I'm waiting.
You got to tell the fans to RSVP for our big party.
That is going to happen, yes. I was going to do that within this segment, but I'll go ahead and do it now.
No, do it when you want. It's your show. I just want you to forget.
I won't forget. It's on the run sheet.
It's on the list.
It's okay. 276-ESPN or all over the world at 1-800-990-ESPN in the atmosphere. There was a request during the timeout, and that was for me to explain something again. And I know it's been difficult at times for me to articulate this properly, but I would like the world to remember that WCW is a defunct wrestling company that went out of business and was purchased by WWE in 2001. Let's go now to the phone lines, and we'll start with Rob in New Jersey, who wants to talk about WrestleMania. Rob, you're live.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, Rob.
What is going on?
Everything.
Really? I mean, is that a question, or are you just...
What?
You know what's going on, Rob? Sheamus is going on.
What?
What's your question, Rob?
Well, first of all, I want to talk about two things. What? I want to talk about WrestleMania. What? I also want to talk about Armando.
Wait.
Don't do it again.
Stone Cold Steve Austin is not going to be on WrestleMania.
What? Anyways, I want to talk about Armando Estrada's House Steak and Lemonade. And I also want to give a shout-out to the number one Pro Wrestling Report, and thanks for all the WWE superstars who watched the number one Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. How was that plug?
Thank you for the call, Rob, in New Jersey. We will be broadcasting live from Baby's Steak and Lemonade as part of our WrestleMania coverage. We'll talk more about that later. We announced on PWRshow.com over the weekend our broadcast schedule and taping schedule for WrestleMania weekend, and I'm not sure if anybody can point me to anybody who's doing it more or doing it better, and we're going to be doing it live from Phoenix, Arizona. Let's go now down to Orlando, Florida. Glenn, you're live on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Glenn.
Damien.
Yes, Glenn.
This question is mainly for you.
Bring it on.
When and if Taker takes time off after WrestleMania, do you think he should come back as the same gimmick, the biker gimmick, or a different gimmick? Because I kind of think that he's getting a little old with this gimmick.
You know, it's funny you're asking Damien, because Damien is the one that hates The Undertaker.
That's why I'm asking him.
Okay.
I think that, I enjoyed the keep rolling Undertaker. I thought that was good. I thought it was a good deviation. I thought it kept his character fresh and kept him in the minds as a new kind of character for a lot of people out in the wrestling world. When he comes back, and he will take a time out, he will take a break. He does that every year. and I don't fault him for it, but if he were to come back, I think that given the fact that no matter what, we're looking at the end of The Undertaker's career in the next few years here, if not months, he's got to do so as the dead man. Thank you very much for calling in, Glenn from Orlando. Let's go now to Matthew on the north side of Milwaukee. He wants to talk about David Hero's new favorite, Drew McIntyre. Matt, you're live.
How you doing, fellas?
Hey, Matt.
Just like to say, I've been listening and watching y'all show for years.
Years.
When I say years, I mean years.
Carl Wesley love years?
Carl Wesley love years.
Okay.
You was nowhere around.
Okay.
Appreciate you watching, brothers. But anyway, I just want to say I was at the show Tuesday, and I'm watching Drew McIntyre versus Kane, and Kane kicks him in the head and he wins the match, and it just blew me. Like, this is Drew McIntyre. He's undefeated. He's Intercontinental Champion, and he loses to a kick to the head. That just threw me off. And another thing is, I want to know, do you guys know when is Shelton Benjamin going to win this Money in the Bank thing? I mean, he get robbed every year.
It's Susan Lucci.
Drew
it's better that you got that reference.
Dig it.
Well, he's been watching TV for forever.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know about Susan Lucci.
Yeah.
But, Drew McIntyre didn't have to beat Kane. You don't want to have the Intercontinental Championship belt in a Money in the Bank match.
Right.
It should have its own match.
Uh-huh.
So it only made sense that Kane, went over to that.
Yeah, he shouldn't have lost then. He should have got disqualified or, something of that nature. He shouldn't have got the 1, 2, 3 off no kick to the head. I don't understand that at all.
Well, but here's the thing. I mean, it's probably easier for that than for Kane to hit one of his finishers on him.
Uh-huh.
Because that way it's a quick pinfall, and that way he's not completely buried.
I guess I'll ride with that one for this time. All right. Yeah, but this Shelton Benjamin thing as well, man. Like, this dude he's been the top athlete in that company for a while, a nice while.
But it doesn't make you the top performer or the top, entertainer or wrestler in the company. It's just because you're a top athlete. You're used to be the guy that does all the spots.
Right.
That doesn't mean you're going to be the guy that's going to be carrying the belt.
That's very understandable. I think he need a push. Something, get him a manager to talk for him on the mic.
He had a manager. He had
his opportunities.
His mama was
See, look, his mother was his manager. That don't work. There ain't nobody taking him serious.
He tried.
I wouldn't take it that serious at all.
Yeah.
But you fellas, man, y'all have a good night. I know it's probably other callers. I'll try to get back with y'all next week, and just keep me informed, fellas. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
I feel like
thank you very much.
I'm about to go holla.
Matthew, thank you very much for tuning in and calling in. Again, we're taking your calls in the phone zone here in the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN, the number 276 ESPN, or all over the world at 1-800-990-ESPN. Let's now go to...
I would have thought you would be like, Angelina Love. Don't they say holler too?
No. Are you talking about the mean girls or the beautiful people, like the Smackdown ones or the TNA ones?
I said Angelina Love.
Okay, because I get them all confused. They all bump the same, too.
Let's go out to the West Coast. Matt in Seattle wants to talk a little bit about TNA wrestling. Matt, you're live.
What's going on, guys?
Hello, Matt.
Hey, Matt.
I just want to tell you guys, I've been listening to wrestling radio for a long time, and you guys are the best in the business.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that and appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah, no problem, guys. I just wanted to comment. With the TNA pay-per-view coming up, who is AJ Styles going to defend the title against? And if they are going to defend it against anybody, is the Abyss right now the number one contender heading into that? And before I let you go, I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm always thinking Arby's, meathead. I'm out.
Matt in Seattle. I thought maybe you'd be thinking more Starbucks. Because when I was in Seattle, every corner, literally, it's not a Starbucks. There's a coffee spot. David Hero, the question that Matt had was about Against All Destination X coming up on pay-per-view from TNA. But on the cover or on the front page of PWRshow.com, the poster for Lockdown has been released, and I think you had a point you wanted to, or a question you wanted to ask about some of the people who may be featured on that poster.
Well, you know what? One of the things we talked about regarding Lockdown is placement on the poster regarding headliners.
No, one of the things you're talking about now is placement on the poster. You're not once mentioned it. You're not once mentioned it until right now on air.
Yes, I
not
did.
The poster.
Yes, I
not
did.
The poster.
I said when you market the show, where is he going to be on the card?
Matt, I don't know at this time what the
we don't know about
pay-per-view main event is going to be for Destination X. I imagine we'll find that out Monday night. But when we come back, we're going to talk more about TNA. We're going to talk about Dave Hero's latest conspiracy theory.
In the slot machine, didn't you?
And we're going to take more phone calls. We got James on the north side and Rob in Syracuse, who beat up Shawn Michaels, waiting here on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Stay up to date with 540 ESPN on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/ESPN Milwaukee.
I see you bobbing your head there, Nelson.
And there's nothing
Bob
wrong
in
with
my
this
head
song.
like, yeah.
There's nothing wrong
I came
with
to
this
play.
song. Hey, there's nothing wrong with this song at all. I like this song.
Who sings it?
Why are you
Damien,
talking over it?
every day.
I was in the studio. I was on Stanford.
You know, I'm looking here at the chatmosphere.
By PWRshow.com, where the conversation
there's a lot
continued
of
during the
Alicia
timeout.
Fox loving this chatmosphere.
How could there not be?
You know, it's amazing. I love it. See?
I'm watching the same chatmosphere, and I want to know what you're talking about.
Well, first of all, you got to read from left to right.
Dave Hero, first of all. Actually, Dave, you read from bottom to the top.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. We're live March 1st, 2010. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead, here beside me, and the Cause, and David Hero.
Hold on.
And
I'm not done yet.
okay.
And Blanchard Buzz,
Yes.
my main mandible,
Your main mandible.
he even remembers me talking about the posters.
No, I conceded during the break. Let me do so on air. You did mention the poster. You referenced WrestleMania 18 specifically, Rock Hogan.
Yes.
And we all agree on that you said that after the Pope won the
You're
eight-card
keeping
tournament.
Oh, okay. I'll keep it there.
After the Pope.
We're continuing in the phone zone. The number by which you can join us, 276-ESPN, or all over the world at 1-800-990-ESPN. We're going to take just a couple more phone calls, and we're going to start with James on the north side.
We're not done yet, though.
About WrestleMania.
Where is the Pope on the poster?
We're going to get to that. That was a tease earlier. We're going to finish
okay.
out the phone zone. We're going to go back to that.
I don't have the show notes in front
You
of me.
don't either. It was an added note if you'd like to read right at the bottom of the page.
And I like how Gail Kim
it says Hero Dash Lockdown Poster. That's
gotcha.
for later. That was
Okay.
a tease. That was,
all right.
We'll throw
You're
to it
raising
later.
your voice. I'm 2 feet away from you. Take it easy.
Don't you wrap me up.
Seriously, you guys are arguing over the silliest thing. That was intentional, by the way. That was intentional.
James on the north side, please save us, much like Chris Jericho did a couple of years ago.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up, James?
Hey, all I gotta say, if I hear that I'm Miz and I'm so awesome thing one more time, I swear to
Were
God.
you at the show last week?
Yes, I was.
7 times.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I got kicked out of the arena for throwing the middle finger, the poop in the bird.
Really? Kicked out?
Yeah, I got kicked out.
Well, Meathead got warned for throwing his underwear at Mickey James.
Not
that was
true.
How embarrassing was that, eh?
Not true. And the only reason you didn't do it, Hero, is because they didn't need a tarp.
James?
Well, I don't even know why I purchased a ticket. It was like going to see Disney on Ice. But anyway.
Wow.
How boring. About Raw tonight, the reason why, it seemed like it was missing something is because it's PG. There's only so much you can do when your show's PG rated. If you look at TNA, they have unlimited possibilities to do inside the ring and on the mic just because they're not going that direction with WWE, because it seems like they're always missing something because there's so much you can do in the ring, with no blood and,
They're limited. They limited themselves, but
right.
For those that don't like PG, it has opened their world up from a business standpoint tremendously.
There you go.
Sponsors, advertisers, affiliations.
It's funny, though, that even though they're PG does include drug reference.
All right. And then what I was thinking about, like when it's going to lead to March 8th when Raw goes head-to-head with Impact, people are going to start to realize, like, hey, this show has blood. This show has bad words on the mic. This show, has more better in-ring talent. Like, people are going to start to realize that, and they're going to be like, wait a minute, why am I...
Well, I think what you're going to see out of TNA versus the WWE is TNA is going to have a little bit more edge than the WWE is going to have. So if that's what the viewer wants, then that's where they're going to go. But there are people that want to watch what WWE puts out, which is the PG stuff.
Right.
So depending on what you want to watch, that's where you're going to go.
Right.
James, thank you very much for that call. Thanks for tuning in locally here in southeastern Wisconsin as well. Let's continue on the phone lines in the phone zone and go out to Syracuse, New York. Rob, who hopefully is in the same bar that he beat Shawn Michaels up in a couple of years ago, wants to talk about NXT. Rob, you're live.
Hey, guys, but I just want to make one point real quick. I was listening to a show back after Sheamus won his belt back at TLC, and I did say that he was going to lose it at Elimination Chamber. So, 1 point me.
You called it?
You got
it.
For the win.
Good job. We, of course, didn't think that was the case. I, along with Dave Hero, thought he was going to carry it all the way into Mania.
Yes, and I said, no, he's not making the draw.
Well, thanks for rubbing it in, huh?
And you've seen what happens when Hero doesn't get his way. He skips shows.
Thanks, pal.
And also, Alicia Fox deserves a shot at that Divas Championship.
If you had to pick, Rob, one person, if you had to compare the bumping techniques of Alicia Fox to one male wrestler, who would you choose?
Shawn Michaels.
Oh.
A little bit in my throat.
Well, no, but wait a minute. Rob has made Shawn take a bump before, because remember he beat him up a couple of years ago.
Yeah, actually, there's his arrest record in that bar still.
Rob from Syracuse, thank you very much for calling in. Let's go now to our final call of this segment. We'll go back to the phone zone later on, but Moses out in Queens, New York, wants to talk about the TNA ratings. Moses, you're live.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Hey,
man, I am a huge fan of your show, man. I respect all of you guys' opinions, man.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Yes, thank you, sir. My question regards TNA ratings. I really want your professional view on this, because the thing is that last week's rating for Impact actually went down a notch, and it's even when Hogan was there, it wasn't even hitting a 2.0. What is TNA or what is Impact missing from getting, from 2.0 and above? Because they have from my point of view, fans' point of view, they have everything going into it, but, compared to Raw or WWE programming, nobody's really watching it. They're not even getting a 3. What are they missing?
Moses, and you make a very good point. They had their lowest rating since Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan have come in. Did a 1.4. But here's the good news about that. Call it spin, call it what you want. The rating for the last several quarter hours were actually some of the strongest of the night. That's a trend they've reversed, which is a good thing. Here is one argument that's been made that is also easy to discount. The Olympics were on. However, Raw got a stronger rating last week than it did the week before. Raw got a very strong rating, so I'm not sure that argument stands, but I'm not sure what was happening Thursday versus Monday on the Olympics. I was not necessarily a follower of that.
Monday night.
Yes, but 7% down to the prior week was TNA last week.
Let me add this to go right on top of that, though. The thing is that they're not lacking anything per show as much as they are lacking getting the news out, getting the word out that TNA is on. TNA is there. You can go watch TNA.
They had 2 or 3 commercials during Raw tonight for their live head-to-head show next Monday.
As we've all admitted to, that takes time.
Well, part of it's
keep doing it. Keep doing the advertising.
Part of it is marketing. The other part is it's not consistent yet.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be live for a period of time to really start getting a ratings number that you're promising your sponsors, and that's their key. Right now, they're probably saying, yeah, we're going to be around a 1.2, 1.4, and sponsors are happy with that because that's what they're told.
Still a good rating, by the way. Let's not lose that point.
It's not bad, but they have to be consistent for the next 6 months every Monday night. And then you can really judge it.
Thanks for that call. Moses out in Queens, New York. I'm actually going to be out in New York tomorrow. Thank you for calling in. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the history book, hot news and discussion, talk about TNA Impact, return to the phone zone, and SmackDown from last week, along with Wrestling 101. And what does Hero have to say about that lockdown poster? The conversation continues in the chatmosphere at pwrshow.com. This is the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
540 ESPN.
Really? Really, Fish? I make a special request, and you give me this.
Awesome!
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Live Monday, March 1st.
The video you favorited on YouTube on your personal or on the PWR show was the WrestleMania 9 theme with the Nasties rapping in it.
That was a great video.
Awful.
That's vintage. That's
that
good
reminds me. I had a little talk with Brian Knobs over the weekend.
Okay.
Because he asked for the interview. So I had to forward it to him.
Sure.
And he listened to the show. He's like, so what's up with this meathead guy? He doesn't want to talk to me?
Wasn't given the opportunity.
Wasn't
given the opportunity.
If you say that one more time, you are so disillusioned. What do you mean given the opportunity? You sat there like a log. We have just a few moments. Let's talk about the history book. This week in 1972, who was born? Frank, you were, right?
I was.
New Japan Pro Wrestling started, 1972.
I was there.
You weren't old enough to travel that far
Frank, you were
yet.
born
I
in
was
72?
2. I got it over there.
Yeah.
In 1986, and I remember this so vividly because I was so angry because we had to go to church and I didn't want to miss it. But on MTV, it was the first ever WWE Slammy Awards. Remember when, was it the Warrior that attacked Heenan and put the cardboard box over his head and Heenan...
Yes.
When Vince McMahon did stand back, it was good stuff. Also in sad news, though, in 2004, Hercules Hernandez was found dead in his sleep. And in 2007, Bad News Brown left this world at the age of 63. The first hour is in the books. When we come back for hour 2 on the Pro Wrestling Report, we're going to talk about TNA Impact of last week, WWE Smackdown of last week, hot news and discussion, more in the phone zone. This is the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks. You see it, KYJ. Things have changed just a little bit since the last time you were here.
I think you should see your oculus. Nothing wrong with my feet. I'm talking about your eyes.
I can even make my ass do tricks. Watch this. You have any idea where you are? You're in the jungle, baby. This is WCW. That's right. Hold on.
For over 10 years, the world's #1 source for professional wrestling news and information. And once again, here's your hosts, Damian Nelson, Frank Cosentino, and the man they call Meathead. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report. We're live Monday night, March 1st, 2010, coming to you from the beautiful downtown studios of 540 ESPN here in a great city by a great lake, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Thank you for joining us wherever you are, all of the world, listening at pwrshow.com or here on 540 ESPN. Damian Nelson here with David Hero and the Cos and the man they call Meathead. And what a first hour we had. Thank you very much for those of you who called. We're going to be opening up the phone lines in just a few minutes again. But first, hot news about the Pro Wrestling Report. This past weekend at pwrshow.com, in addition to 2 exclusive editions of the Pro Wrestling Report Interactive, which were only available on iTunes and at pwrshow.com, we also announced our taping and broadcast schedule for WrestleMania 26. We're going to be covering WrestleMania 26 from Phoenix, Arizona. Our headquarters in Phoenix is Armando Estrada's Baby's Steak and Lemonade. And we're going to be taping starting Thursday night, March 25th.
And special
all
guests.
the way through Saturday. And you never know who's going to be a part of the show. We're lining up some pretty amazing talents to be a part of our special tapings down at Baby Steak and Lemonade. And we're going to be broadcasting all weekend long at pwrshow.com, and you can find that schedule right now at pwrshow.com. And if you are able to be a part of it, if you are coming to WrestleMania, we want you to be there in attendance with us. We're going to have prizes, giveaways, and give you the chance to be a part of the Pro Wrestling Report broadcasts for that weekend. All you need to do is send us an RSVP with who you are and where you're coming from to WM26 at pwrshow.com. Again, that's WM26 at pwrshow.com. If you RSVP in advance and show up, automatically you get a free PWR prize. So we'll see you at Baby Steak and Lemonades for WrestleMania 26.
So we're giving away the Meathead autographed 8x10?
Nobody wants that. Those are the 2x3s, the wallet sizes.
Ah.
You know the proofs that you get for free? I never gave mine back.
Okay. I'm just waiting for the funny part.
Oh, it was funny.
I don't get it.
Let's go now to the hot news for this week. And over the course of the weekend, we learned that WWE was doing a little bit of house cleaning, releasing a total of 5 talents, and they are as follows. Gregory Helms, gone. Maria, gone. Paul Burchill, gone. Scott Armstrong, the referee, gone. And finally, Charlie Haas, released from WWE.
So 4 gone and 1 released.
And as well as one of the Armstrong brothers.
He said it. Scott Armstrong.
Scott Armstrong, the referee.
Yeah, who now is taking bookings.
And I think we know the guy who's doing his bookings.
Yeah, just,
Ironically.
Go to pwrshow.com, shoot me an email if you want to book Road Dogg Jesse James or Brother Steve Armstrong.
Now, this is a bit of unique timing, releasing some pretty big names this past weekend did WWE, and obviously a lot of discussion that maybe TNA should express interest in some of these names. We'll start with you, David Hero. Of the 5 released, what, if any, should TNA potentially pick up?
Well, I think that they're probably going to grab Maria. I think she'd be a great addition, as well as Gregory Helms. I don't know about Paul Burchill. I'm not too sure about Charlie. Well, Charlie Haas could because he's been tight with Kurt Angle.
A great wrestler, by the way.
But, isn't that the answer, though? Who in TNA can say, grab one of those guys? Who has that pull?
I think,
besides the Hogans, of course, but, I mean, what other wrestler can say, yes, bring in Charlie Haas because he's a good guy, good locker room guy, all that other jazz?
I think out of all of them, the smartest sign would be Maria because she's going to be on the Donald Trump TV show where she'll get tons
Celebrity
of exposure.
Apprentice, which starts on March 14th.
But per The Apprentice, isn't she not allowed to be on any other TV show?
That was already taped.
I understand, but while it airs, she's not allowed to be anywhere else.
We don't know the specifics of the release. Many times they do get a 90-day.
No compete.
That doesn't make a difference because millions of people are going to see her.
Mm-hmm.
It
should be out there.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Kaz, your thoughts? Who, if any, should TNA express interest in?
Well, Maria is the obvious choice out of the 5. If you want to say 5. But Gregory Helms, the Hurricane thing was it made kids happy and all that for a little while, but he just seemed lost.
You'd rather see Sugar Shane?
Vertebraker. No. I guess he would be second out of that group that TNA may look at, but he's just going to be in another line of all these wrestlers that, unless he does something special.
Well, he's Jeff Hardy's buddy. And if TNA
and
really
Jeff Hardy's
wants,
in TNA, right?
He's not signed to TNA.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
No, not yet.
That's what I'm wondering.
So it only makes sense. But what's kind of funny is last week we were talking to some people in the know. We talked about who was going to be released, and Gregory Helms, his name popped up.
Well, after the incident.
Not even so much that. Even if he wouldn't have gotten in trouble, I still think he'd be let go. So, but it's kind of funny that 5 people got cut, right?
Yeah.
And how many NXT stars did they bring up?
8.
I think it's a total of 7 or 8, yeah.
So there's another 2 or 3 that's going to get cut the next week or 2 because they want to keep the roster number the same. They're not going to keep adding to the payroll.
Well, okay, but look at that payroll, though. I mean, the next stars, where are they compared to Gregory Helms and Charlie Haas?
Those next stars are already more popular than Gregory Helms.
I think,
but from a salary standpoint, they're not making anywhere near, I don't think, what maybe Gregory
Helms had to be making a pretty penny.
I doubt it.
Well, in order for him to be
been around for a long time,
he's been hurt for forever.
Yeah.
I don't know what his salary is, but that could have been one of the issues. Like, we're paying him way too much, and he's not getting
kind of like the NFL roster issue that we're dropping a lot of name players.
Higher price talent.
All these guys get now is a downside guarantee. I mean, Helms may only have been, in around that 75 to 125,000 a year.
Now, he wasn't super popular with Hurricane, but with the kids.
Well, yeah,
his first run with the Hurricane, he was super popular with the kids.
Yeah, he was
the
doing
whole
stuff with, and he was doing stuff with The Rock.
Mm-hmm. Correct. So maybe during that time is where he made a lot of money, and it bumped up his salary up to what it is now, and then they figured, all right, you're now making too much for what you're doing. See ya.
Here's the thing. TNA, in my opinion, I'm extremely comfortable.
Looks like it.
TNA, in my opinion, should not be adding anyone to their roster right now. They've got 2 hours of TV to fill each week, and they can't even put everybody in that 2 hours. So until they expand their product line, until they expand their broadcast schedule, which they may or may not do, I think we're talking just too many fish in the sea.
Well, here's the thing. And how many minutes of wrestling did TNA have last week?
Not many.
18 out of 2 hours.
Is TNA 3 hours next week?
It's going to be 3 hours in a couple weeks.
No,
not next week.
The 15th they're going to be airing Epics before TNA goes live. They've moved Epic to 7 p.m. Mondays, Central Time. Well, they're gone, and we'll see where they turn up. I'm not sure if Gregory Helms specifically is really going to be too distraught over this release, to be honest with you. He didn't seem very happy in WWE.
Here's another point, too, you may add to this. Sometimes those guys wait for some reason to leave the business, and, for whether family reasons or they made enough money and they're happy. Gregory Helms could be in that mold. Well, this might be it. I could be done.
Here's the thing.
I don't know.
Here's what people don't understand. When Gregory Helms was home, rehabbing his broken neck, he wasn't getting paid.
Yeah.
So whatever money he did make over the last year and a half, I'm sure he went through a little bit of that.
Continuing the hot news, Umaga, as you know, passed away several months ago. The cause of death information has been released, and unfortunately it follows an unfortunate trend in early life pro wrestlers dying. It was a toxic mix, a lethal combination, quote-unquote, of painkillers, muscle relaxers, and anti-anxiety medication. So all things that he may have been able to be taking, but it was a lethal combination of all those things at once that did him in. So that was speculated upon at the time of his massive heart attack, which is what this all caused when he did pass away. And JBL actually blogged about it and said it was pills that keeps killing these people, and we need to get some control over that. This at the same time that Linda McMahon, who's running for the Connecticut Senate, is being lambasted because of WWE's semi-transparent wellness policy and the investigation started last year in Congress that never went anywhere, seemingly just dropped and no investigation happening. Meathead, your thoughts on this official cause of death being released, a lethal combination of prescription drugs that took away Eddie Fatu.
It's sad because, again, there goes another guy, that stupid list they keep talking about over and over. That's another talent, another person that, was a good guy to everybody else that he ran into that has to fall by the wayside. Now, we've talked about the whole Linda McMahon thing, and I think we brought it up even when Linda McMahon officially announced that she was going to be going to, run for a political office. I told you, and I said this over and over, that this is going to be something that would bring her down. It's going to be something that's going to cause her to most likely not win that seat. The fact that, she's going to be connected to wrestling deaths. She's going to be connected to sex and violence on TV, even though WWE's been PG for a couple of years now. So
she's about 20 or 30 points behind in the polls as well. And granted, sometimes the polls don't matter, but that's a substantial lead that the opponent has over her.
And the election's April over there, right? Am I correct?
I believe the final is in November. Kaz, your thoughts on this unfortunate announcement of the cause of death of Umaga?
Hopefully it's a wake-up call to those guys that are, take pain medication, that if you get to a certain point, hopefully there's other people that are, watching and supporting you saying, hey, you might not want to mix that with mix that. It takes something like this for a wake-up call for some of the other people, and it doesn't have to be a wrestler, but in this case, their work schedule, the travel and everything else, the stress that goes along with that.
And he had just returned from the Hogan tour, the Hulkamania tour.
Yeah.
Just
Correct.
got back. It was within a couple of days, if not the next day.
It's really where you need support from family. If you get to that level of, I need something else, hopefully there is a family member or a friend that says, hey, you might want to slow it down. And in the wrestling business, if you have an opportunity, if you've made your money and you have something in the bank and maybe it's time to stop at that point. It could get worse, but hopefully there's family to support there and friends to help out if needed.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report, where the conversation will continue in the chatmosphere at pwrshow.com, which David Hero is very entertained by tonight. He has not been able to pull his eyes off that screen ever since being turned on to it a little while ago. The conversation continues in the chatmosphere. When we come back, we're going to talk about TNA Impact, WWE Smackdown, Wrestling 101, continue hot news, and into the phone zone. This is the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. And earlier tonight, David Hero, we were talking about that poster for TNA Lockdown, and I think you had a question for all the citizens out there.
By the way, that's awesome and good setup because Hero just told us he's done. He didn't want to do anymore.
I'm done.
You just set him up. Go.
No, the poster.
The Twittisons. Very good word, by the way.
Let's talk about the Lockdown poster.
Ladies and gentlemen, David Hero.
If you go to pwrshow.com and you click on the link, the poster is going to pop up for you. The first two guys are Flair and Hogan. The next two guys are AJ and Kurt Angle. Then Ken Anderson, and then the Pope, the last guy on the poster, all the way in the back.
Well, what does that mean? He's on the poster.
But you'd think that a main event guy would be the main guy on the poster. Torrie Wilson had a bigger spot on a Great American Bash poster.
That's for you, Fish.
How rude.
Just keep laughing, Damien. Hey, we'll see how funny it is when you run the show yourself.
Hey, that took 15 minutes, by the way.
No, it didn't. It's been sitting there waiting for the right moment.
Okay.
So you have to have the Miz talk over me?
No, he didn't talk over you. He
complimented
you.
Why, Dave, you do it to everybody else.
Oh, yeah! Booyaka, booyaka.
Wow. See, that's it.
Your point is valid.
It is valid.
If this whole main event lockdown thing, the build-up, the pay-per-view, all that was to make somebody a star in the main event and lockdown, even skipping a pay-per-view to make a point, they should be prominently featured on the promotional materials for that pay-per-view.
And they failed miserably because the Pope should be the main guy on the poster, and he's not. So that tells me he's not main eventing the lockdown pay-per-view.
Earlier today, Awesome Kong, former TNA Knockout champion, gave every indication that she is no longer participating in TNA wrestling. And for those who don't know and didn't hear it on PWR Primetime last week, Awesome Kong has filed suit against Bubba the Love Sponge, who is a radio host, for some allegedly disparaging comments that he made about her and threatening statements that he made to her in an alleged phone call.
You know what's going to be interesting about this is that some people within TNA think that Bubba should have sued Kong for assault.
When she knocked him the heck out?
He's talking about the screaming hate, this is for Haiti.
Yeah, all that. But here's what also is interesting. Let's just say Kong beats Bubba in court, okay? She has a hell of a lawsuit against TNA then.
Unsafe work environment?
Well, no, not that, but discrimination.
Sure.
Because it's been reported that the knockouts make far less than the guys do in TNA.
I wouldn't doubt that they paid BTLS, is that what they call him, Bubba the Love Sponge? They probably paid him more than they paid most of the knockouts.
Well, no, I'm not even talking about that.
I am talking about that. That's how off the pay scale is.
Well, right, but I'm saying on the house shows, the women get paid considerably less. So how would it look if Kong files a lawsuit against TNA, which is owned by a woman, saying that the women are being discriminated against? Now, keep in mind, Conan got an $800,000 payout from TNA.
For discrimination.
For
alleged discrimination.
Alleged.
No, he got $800,000.
It wasn't alleged at that point.
No. Yeah. When you're writing a check, okay. Yeah.
Guess this happened, huh?
Yeah.
All I did was gave you the chance to use a word. It's your word. I tried.
So they now have that,
stigma.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's sometimes publicity, you'll take it either way. In this case, they don't want that type of publicity.
This isn't good for anybody.
It's not.
Kong's out of a job. TNA's in a bad spot, and Bubba's potentially in a lot of trouble.
And let's not forget, Jeff Hardy's looming in the pretty soon also. He has his big court date coming. And what I've heard from some people is that Jeff gets in trouble on their watch, but now we'll get the heat for it because he's with us. So they have possibly two pretty big
and they keep
court dates
promoting
coming up.
Jeff Hardy like he is with them because he's in the opening package.
It'll be interesting because they have a possibility of the big Jeff Hardy court date.
Or Jeff Harvey.
Or Hardy.
Right.
And then they got Kong versus Bubba, and then maybe Kong versus TNA.
Yeah. There's a lot of potential bad stuff there.
I would love to be an attorney right now for TNA. You know your cash.
Well, you know one. So.
That retainer's going to be just burning up pretty quick.
I mean, you know one. So.
Shout out to Nicholas Monarco, who's going to be joining us at Baby's Steak and Lemonade for WrestleMania. Just shot us an email. Remember, you can RSVP WM26 at pwrshow.com. We're going to enter the phone zone now. The number ESPN 276-3776 or all over the world at 1-800-990 ESPN 1-800-990.
You didn't let me finish.
3776.
I wanted to address one more thing.
Go right ahead, David.
I do not hate the Pope. Let's make that very clear.
Do you hate the Pope like I hate the Undertaker?
No, I don't.
You do hate the Pope like I hate the Undertaker.
No, not even.
No, you do.
I do not dislike the guy. I just don't think he's the guy for TNA right now.
Now, you said that you hate the Pope, right?
No. I want to say it again. I never once said. Just because I don't think someone should be in a certain spot doesn't mean that I dislike them.
You're giving your professional opinion.
Absolutely. If I'm going to market
about
TNA,
how you hate the Pope.
If I'm gonna rebrand TNA, you got to be selective as to who you want to be the guys at the front.
You're right.
And right now, Pope's the star for the Orlando TV fans.
Sure.
Okay. Pope has not. Of course.
I got to challenge you on that one. The population, the population went haywire when Pope won the 8-card stud tournament. Not just in Orlando, but all over the world.
Okay, here's the thing. I want to see the house shows. I want to see the reaction that Pope gets at the house shows.
The population.
He gets pretty good
because we can't compare internet wrestling fans and Orlando TV taping.
What are you, Michael Cole
fans.
over there?
No, it's the truth. Michael Cole's a smart guy. He knows what he's talking about. It's two different sets of wrestling fans. I want to see how the wrestling fans in Wichita, Kansas react to the Pope.
The population.
Yeah.
There's a lot you just said there. We're going to go to the phone zone now. Oh, I'm thinking about it.
And you know I'm right. I can tell by the look in your eye. You're like, damn it, Hero, you're right again.
We're going to go to the phone zone now on a very patient Gilberto down in Florida. You're live here on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Gilberto.
I want to bring up a point that's kind of off topic here, but I want to talk about the heat that WWE's been getting the last 2 years about them not developing talent and giving the right guys a push. Now, if you look in the last 15 years, obviously 3 guys that stand out, Triple H, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Rock. They weren't pushed right away into the main event status that they eventually got into. They worked their way up. If you look at the guys today like Sheamus, I think that he needed the title to do what he's doing now, especially after tonight. But the point that I'm trying to make is, I think that the fans today are too impatient with that they want new stars like really fast.
Hey, Gil, I'm right with you on that, but technically, if that were the case where they need to really put in some time into building them, while they were still running Austin in his last run or Rock in his last run, that's where they should have been building talent. They haven't been building talent for years, and now we're seeing the fruits of their lack of labor.
Well, a couple guys stand out. Obviously Cena, Batista, and Randy Orton. But you got to remember too. Other guys. Morrison's been there just as long as John Cena. The Miz, he's been there for a while too.
But The Miz also didn't come from a wrestling background, so it's going to take a little longer to build him wrestling-wise.
Well, okay, I give you that, but that's what the point is. I mean, I think for me personally, I know what they're trying to do, I'm patient enough to say, okay, I can see who's going to be at the top the next couple of years. Another guy too, you forget, Lesnar. Wow, they sacrificed a lot to build up Lesnar. And look what he did. 2 years, WrestleMania 19, he main evented against Kurt Angle. They had that great match. Next year, he jobbed the Goldberg, and he was gone.
Both were
months
gone.
later.
Goldberg and Lesnar.
And let's not forget
gone.
the in-between when he just was made a fool of was Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, And,
but at that point, that's when Lesnar already had made it clear that he was trying to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Good points, Gilberto from Florida. Thank you very much for that call. Let's continue now out to Boston, Massachusetts. Bowman, you're live on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Awesome.
You came to play. I like it.
No, what Bowman knows.
Are you a fellow Ms. Marquis, Bowman?
I've always been a Miz Marquis. I've liked the Miz since I saw him on The Real World.
Ooh, you go back further than me.
The Real
I never
World
saw
still
his Real
exists?
World. What city was he in?
New York.
New York.
NYC? Empire? That's concrete
Back to
jungle?
New York.
Dreams
Yeah,
are made of.
New York.
All right, Bowman. Well, what do you have for us today?
Well, I want to talk about a little bit about the WrestleMania card and NXT and stuff like that. Seems like the WrestleMania card's coming together pretty well. This is already a better card than last year. Already.
Really?
Oh,
what about Money in the Bank?
Money in the Bank is interesting because they only have three more slots left, and there's not one high flyer. There's not one high flyer in that match right now.
You don't think
Dolph
Shelton
Ziggler?
Benjamin's a high flyer?
That's who?
Shelton Benjamin?
Dolph Ziggler?
Dolph Ziggler's not a high flyer.
Oh,
Dolph
he can
Ziggler's
be.
not a high flyer.
He won't be.
I forgot.
He doesn't have a
Dolph Ziggler's
trampoline.
See, he forgot Shelton Benjamin's in the match. That's
easy
how
to do.
irrelevant Shelton Benjamin is.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just had totally forgotten he was in the match, but I guess he was supposed to supply the spots for the night. I'm still thinking that Christian's going to win that match. And then somehow, some way, if they're going to have a Money in the Bank pay-per-view, they have to get rid of the first one that they're doing now. And I just have this feeling that I think Christian's going to win it and interject himself into that Edge and Jericho match somehow.
We all think that's going to happen. It would all be great for us. I mean, we would enjoy it, but that would kill any
I wouldn't
kind of...
enjoy it. Don't say all.
No, I'm talking about the general masses, not David Octavius hero, but the general masses would love to see...
Yeah, the Pope's not in it.
Well,
no, he will
Dave
never headline a WrestleMania.
Yeah. Dave hates the Pope. Anyway, we will all like
You know
to
what?
see...
You know what? See, your people...
My people?
What?
Yeah. The Meathead congregation, they believe that stuff.
You are horrible.
Why?
You just totally slammed on the Pope by saying that.
How did that...
Because he calls his people the congregation.
Yes.
Really?
Can I finish, though? So as I was saying, most of us want a person to take that Money in the Bank and cash it in that night and actually, make it worthwhile just because it would be exciting. It's not going to happen, though.
I think the Money in the Bank pay-per-view is the pay-per-view where the guy has to cash in his Money in the Bank.
Because that would kill what the Money in the Bank is supposed to be for. Because they say during the whole build-up for this Money in the Bank that the winner of the Money in the Bank will be able to cash it in 365 days.
They haven't said that for this one yet.
They have.
For this one?
Yes, they
the
have.
new one?
Yes, they have.
I got to challenge you on that. They have not said that.
I don't know.
The conversation continues in the chatmosphere at pwrshow.com. This is the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Now you know how it feels, hero.
How what feels?
Exactly. Damien, heard you talk.
I was just thinking about Alicia Fox.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, wow, Fish is playing her music tonight. How awesome is that?
Kaz is
the
still
guy's
here.
got to be rolling around in the pine box.
You know what? I knew Kurt Hennig fairly well, and he would take it. He would take it as a compliment.
Are you sure about that?
Absolutely.
This is
Kurt
the Pro Wrestling Report. We're live March 1st, 2010.
But if you watched her work.
But see, that's fine. Let's go to the phone zone, and I believe next was Jason from Tennessee who wants to talk about WWE's PG rating. Jason, you're live.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hey, Jason.
Before I got on to what I called about the whole PG thing, I just wanted to point out to Hero that Batista's actually in the back of the WrestleMania poster, and I think that's going to be the main event this year, isn't it?
Batista and Cena?
Yes.
I don't think that's going to close the show. I think it's Jericho.
Wait, hold on a second. But who's the first guy in the poster?
Cena.
Okay.
Oh,
there you go.
But it means the guy who's wrestling again.
Don't I hate him being right? It really gets old.
So I called tonight about somebody else called earlier about the whole PG thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to comment on it that I think a lot of fans look too much into the whole PG thing. I enjoy violence too. I enjoy blood. I think it helps the intensity of a match. But I think people overlooking how much swearing and all that is important. I care more as a wrestling fan about like the characters and the storylines. And in my opinion, when the WWE is full octane, they're doing that a lot better than TNA is, even though TNA has the mature rating. So I just wanted to point that out to some of the people.
And again, it makes a lot of sense business-wise for WWE to stay PG. I mean, they had a lot of trouble when they were at a higher rating, and I would imagine TNA is going to be able to capitalize on some of those advertisers that WWE may not or that may want to associate with that kind of product. But I do think that at times, Jason, it is a bit of a crutch that people use as something to blame WWE's product on, but they were PG for a number of years before going to a higher rating.
And made lots of money back when they were PG.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, thank you for that call from Tennessee. Let's go to our final two callers of the night. Leon from Brooklyn, you're live. Leon from Brooklyn, you're live on line 1. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Leon, what's up?
Not much. First, I want to talk about two things. Remember y'all talking about saying how like saying Jeff Hardy is not actually with TNA, but he's in the package. Have you noticed that when WWE in their opening package that they took out Hulk Hogan's voice anywhere? I wonder if y'all noticed that.
Oh, as soon as he was with TNA, they took
But they
him
don't
out.
do that for everybody because Ric Flair's still in the opening.
No, Flair's gone too.
No, I just seen it tonight.
Flair's,
I've seen it
he
tonight.
spins around.
Yeah.
In the pink robe.
Really?
Yep.
Visually, he's there.
And the last thing, like with all these guest hosts that Raw is getting, like I think it's sort of good, but now it's just plain awful. Like, do you know when they're going to stop, or is it going to stop at the end of the year, or what?
I think it might be reevaluated after WrestleMania, because usually at WrestleMania they'll have some type of celebrity that'll enhance the card or whatever it is.
Like when Kim Kardashian was there a few years ago.
That didn't
Regis
enhance,
Philbin at WrestleMania 7.
it. Regis did, I think.
I mean, the Floyd Mayweathers of the world and stuff like that, where they, you can cross pollinate.
We've got 4 weeks to build up to it, so I mean.
They don't waste money on celebrities anymore. They don't need to.
Yeah,
I mean, they've done so with the Mayweathers and whatnot.
Don't get paid.
No, we're talking specifically about WrestleMania. They don't use them as much as they used to. These guest hosts, for now, they haven't suffered from it business-wise. The ratings aren't substantially down over last year. They're about the same, if not higher. So why not keep doing it?
See, I mean,
get
they're
some
not
exposure in the mainstream.
Guest hosts, are they? They're guest hosts are just allowed to
in some
promote.
cases, I'm pretty sure they've done a charitable contribution or something of that nature.
But they're allowed to just promote their product or promote whatever thing they're doing.
Thanks for that call, Leon, out in Brooklyn. Let's go to Anthony from California. You're live.
Hey there, guys.
Hey, Anthony.
First off, I'm surprised that David Hero's on the show since his favorite team, the Nasty Boys, lost on Impact.
Sometimes you just got to suck it up. You know what I'm saying?
He didn't suck it up last week, but, sometimes.
Yeah, it was at home crying.
We heard.
I want to mention that something from the Batista-Cena promo. There was one part where Batista said that him and Cena were like the top two guys that the WWE had after the Attitude Era, and I wonder you guys' thoughts about that.
Huh. Cena and Batista being two top guys that they've had since Attitude, you're saying?
Yeah, post-era. Attitude
I
Era.
would throw Triple H in there, Shawn Michaels in there.
No, those guys are part of the Attitude Era.
Yeah, but they're still big. You mean the two that they've built?
That were made, yeah.
Well, the Miz as well.
Also, you got to understand, Shawn Michaels wasn't a champion. Shawn Michaels wasn't a champion.
Randy
in the
Orton's a good
Attitude
point.
Era.
Randy Orton's a good point.
I'd say Cena, Batista, and Orton.
That's it. Huh?
Those three guys.
That's about it. Huh. Well, Lesnar was after Attitude. He came in 03.
Then that's after 2 years.
Yeah.
And lastly, who do you think is going to fill up the last spots for the Money in the Bank match?
Kamala and...
Yeah.
Someone suggested Evan Bourne. I'm intrigued by that.
Kamala and Evan Bourne.
You put Frank in, but he doesn't take no bumps.
That's right.
Frank doesn't even climb ladders, so how is he going to win the match?
You know what? Maybe they'll put Cody Rhodes and Evan Bourne in the Money in the Bank.
Perhaps they will, David.
No, that'll be the main event next year.
There you go. Oh, thank you. Very good.
And Evan Bourne will win.
Very good, Anthony from California. Thank you for that call. Gentlemen, let's talk. And thank you to all of you who called in tonight. Let's talk about TNA Impact of last week. And I think three things are worth talking about, first of which being that match between the Nasties and Team 3D.
Yeah.
Really? You want to talk about it?
Really?
It's all you, Dave.
Well, no,
It took a lot of time. It was probably half the wrestling on the show.
It was. It was, what, 18 minutes of wrestling last week?
Some are saying 11. I haven't counted.
Well, I mean, the Nasties, they want to continue this program for a little while, and they very well might, because if you notice, Beer Money is now going to be feuding with...
Mornandez.
Yeah, Mornandez.
I took that from you. That was yours.
Thank you. I appreciate the credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I could see that going on for another pay-per-view.
A lot of people saying they spent a lot of time talking about the WWE Hall of Fame, and what sense did that make?
Well, as I was told by somebody, they're like, really? People care about that Hall of Fame that has Coco Beware in it? So,
yeah,
I guess it's not that important to some people.
Not anymore.
But, yeah, when I first watched it, I'm thinking, wow, they are really putting over Vinnie Mac's Hall of Fame quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Making a big deal about the ring.
For the second week in a row.
This is the stuff that's And Eric Bischoff has been there before. He knows what works and what doesn't. Enough with talking about your competition that way.
But here's the thing: what I guess some people don't realize is that if for as much as Vince values his Hall of Fame, Hulk Hogan gave his Hall of Fame ring to Abyss.
Slap in the face.
Yeah, so it devalued.
To Vince, but it's also a big lift for Abyss as well.
But there's no doubt that the top talent in the Hall of Fame is Hulk Hogan.
Oh,
there's no bigger name in the WWE Hall of Fame than Hulk Hogan.
Here's you're still building your audience. Some of that audience is WWE audience that just want to watch. They want to watch TNA. They want to watch something new. It's a little bit different. There's some older stars, younger stars. Why would you alienate some of those fans that are going to watch and go, why are they making fun of WWE? I don't want to see that.
You know what? I think some do.
But their audience is so critical to them.
Oh yeah.
That it'd be dumb to, even if it's like 25,000 people are going to be turned off by, you know what, I'm not watching TNA anymore. If they're going to make fun of WWE, that it's a risk that I don't think they need to take. Eric Bischoff's smart enough to go.
Here's the thing.
Build our
Frank,
talent.
I got to ask you though, and Dave, I'm sorry for cutting you, but I got to ask you now. We've talked about this on the program before about how if they're supposed to be competing, this was when it came to eliminating the 6-sided ring for the 4-sided ring, going head to head with competition. You wanted them to look just like the competition, just to get that 6-sided ring out of there and look like the 4-sided ring. Now I agree with you 100%. That they shouldn't be taking shots. They should be distinctly different from what the WWE is. Stop mentioning them. Stop bringing them up. Build your own gimmick, your character. Build your own persona, your own show. So I'm kind of
they're in a war.
Yeah.
So they're telling the fans who they're in a war with right now.
This is so much different than it was.
94 baseball, right? How upset were all the baseball fans with the strike?
Wait, you know about
sports? And they came
sports?
back. I know a lot about sports.
No, you don't.
I don't watch the girl sports, but yeah.
I don't think that Eric Bischoff should go down that route, and maybe I'm wrong.
He was successful with it the last time he did it.
Well, but we know what turned it around when he specifically told Shivani to say, well, that'll put butts in the seat.
You know what? And I bet you he won't make that same mistake again. And here's why. Because Raw is no longer taped.
Correct. But there were those fans that said, you know what, I'm going to turn over there, and then it was done. In this case, they may, want to watch the Hall of Fame or whatever. I just wouldn't alienate any fans.
Here's the thing, though, and Frank, you're, again, right on the same path here. The people that are watching TNA are 100% aware of WWE. There is not a TNA wrestling fan or anybody that's watching TNA that doesn't know that WWE exists. That can't be said for the WWE. There are people that watch that have no idea what TNA is. Have never heard of it before.
I think that's a very small number. I just don't think they know
where it is.
But
a number.
Yeah.
But a number. Yeah. Because, again, whoever watches TNA is aware of wrestling.
As we move on, coming up this Monday night, WWE and TNA are live head-to-head against one another. Hogan and Flair are the headlining talents in the ring on TNA, and Chris Angel's Mind Freak is the guest host over on Raw, with Vince McMahon taking on John Cena as the headline/main event of that show next week.
I've got a problem.
Hogan and Flair returning to the ring. Now, obviously, Hogan's going to team with Abyss. Flair's going to team with AJ Styles. So they're going to be able to cover a lot of the stuff. But
they have the last 3 minutes of Impact.
Yeah.
Well, didn't we talk about this last week, that TNA is going to be allowed an overrun if necessary?
There are rumors to that effect.
Okay. I've got the problem. I don't know if I told you guys this before. I've got a problem, and I'll wrap this up real quickly. I'm stuck. My DVR is set to watch 24 every Monday night along with the wrestling. Now I've got 2 wrestling and 24. I don't know what to do. Should I be watching one live and tape one, or should I be taping both and try to figure out how I'm going to watch 24?
Well, you should really watch the wrestling show so you can talk about it next week.
Well, absolutely. I'm going to do that.
24.
Hogan and Flair in the ring.
Obviously, you're not paying
Kaz,
attention.
your thoughts on that?
What's the question?
Hogan and Flair in the ring.
Well, we knew it was eventually going to happen. You don't.
We were sort of denying it, though.
Yeah,
kind of like the Nasty Boys.
We said in the beginning, there are people that just want to watch TNA to get to see as much as Hulk Hogan as possible and to get him in the ring. They're going to get it. You won't see much of him in that ring because he can't do much physically. But now those fans are going to get what they want. Now it's up to TNA to keep those fans for the long period of time.
You know what's amazing is next week in both main events, you have 56-year-old Hulk Hogan, 61-year-old Ric Flair, and 64-year-old Vince McMahon.
I'm not dead.
Talk about a Benjamin Button,
the Golden
TV
Boys.
show. Yeah,
Benjamin Button.
But you know what? As long as the overall presentation is entertaining, it's going to be a good story. And keep in mind, we should not expect big things from TNA straight off the bat as it pertains to numbers. They're going to get dominated, I think, by WWE, as they did on January 4th, but they showed strength in their own ratings, comparatively speaking, to the ratings they had been getting. So they did good for TNA, but they still got hammered by WWE. That trend will continue, and here's what I'm very intrigued to hear. All the masses out there talking about how TNA doesn't have a chance because of their low ratings, comparatively speaking, to WWE.
You know what's going to be interesting? To see where the Pope is placed on Impact next week.
Maybe you guys answer this.
Whoa. I'm being serious.
If he's placed, who's to say he's on the show?
Guys,
do you think after this match with Hulk Hogan, those fans that are watching just for Hulk and nothing else, do you think he has to get back into the ring if that number gets up to a certain level?
I hate to break this to you.
That number's not going to move.
No, I don't think that match is going to happen.
Okay.
You think it's just advertised to get
Raw's
the
done it.
people in?
Yeah.
Remember the McMahon-Austin match that was advertised for Raw, hyped up for maybe a couple of weeks, and then it was, there was like a minute left at the end, and the match never happened. Hey, well, it's got us talking about it. It's got people talking about it. So TNA Impact Live this upcoming Monday night, and there's only one place that's going to sum it all up for you right after they both go off the air. That's here on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. The conversation continues in the Champosphere at PWRshow.com, and this is the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Vintage Fish. And get this, we can't get the Miz twice in one night. No. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. We're in the home stretch. And Rashi Brown not able to join us tonight, feeling a bit under the weather. Getting ready for his next Ring of Honor show, I would presume. We'll be back with you live on air here Monday night next week, March 8th, again, right after the Monday Night Wars resume. And, Frank, speaking of the Monday Night Wars, a little bit of a delay in production, but we're going to go ahead and debut your brand new show, PWRshow.com, starting on March 15th.
Looking forward to it.
Kaz gets his own show?
Well, he's a star. He's over. He was over before you were over.
Wow. I've never been over.
Let's talk more about the Pope.
We can talk about the Pope all night long.
We'll do a Pope hour. We'll have him on.
Yeah,
we're working that angle,
You know what? Absolutely. And unlike Meathead, I will address the Pope.
I wasn't given the opportunity.
Jeez. TNA's coming to Milwaukee in October. Good. Maybe we'll have a sit-down with you and the Nasty Boys. Then you'll be getting an opportunity.
I will be happy to do that.
Oh,
it'll be like Yalta.
Let's talk about Smackdown from last week. We were there live. It was taped at the Bradley Center here in Milwaukee. Chris Jericho stealing the night. I am the world heavyweight champion. I am the world heavyweight champion.
Was that a message to Bischoff?
I am the world heavyweight champion. I said before that Jericho winning that title, the best part about it is going to be having to hear his mouth for the next month, if not longer, because he's that great on the mic.
Because, again, he'll actually, while he's on the mic, be able to back it up with a title win, be able to back it up with proof, saying, I am the best at what I do. Why, you're smiling at me.
Dolph Ziggler, Shelton Benjamin, and Kane qualify for Money in the Bank, and Michelle McCool wins the Women's Championship. Your thoughts around the room of the live event experience from SmackDown last Tuesday night?
You said he'll back it up. It's not real. He's
but
not going to beat
about,
anybody.
No. I'm talking about. I'm not that involved, and I'm talking about him being able to, you buying into it when you're the viewer, buying into the fact that he can back it up verbally now because he holds the belt over.
I gotcha.
You got it?
Michelle McCool, I'm not very pleased that she's the new ladies champ.
Me neither.
Kaz, your thoughts overall on the Raw live. I'm sorry, the SmackDown live experience.
I loved it. I thought it was a great show. A little too much of Miz, but it didn't bother me.
Yeah, a little too much of Miz. You sneaking in and getting a picture with the Miz.
Well, you got to know people.
Yeah, apparently you do.
Yeah, what happened? I thought this was going to be your night.
That's all we're saying.
No.
Kaz is sneaky.
That was rather embarrassing.
Nice.
Yeah, you failed.
I didn't fail. Kaz succeeded.
I thought it was a great show. They did a great job last Tuesday.
NXT is going to be a huge show.
I was very, very happy with SmackDown as well. Best show in the last 5 outings.
We gave all of our listeners and viewers an opportunity to vote on their thoughts on WWE NXT from last week. We gave a complete rundown of our thoughts on the show on this past Friday's edition of the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time. 82% of you saying NXT was a pass, and 18% of you saying it was a fail. So an overwhelming success for NXT, and the star made in just one night's time.
Within 10 minutes.
Daniel Bryan. David Harrow, Wrestling 101. School the population out there as to the basics of professional wrestling that they may know.
House
that they
shows.
don't know
House
they know.
shows. So important for
why are house shows important?
Well, that's where
no
the
cameras
guys,
there.
That's where the guys get to try out new moves. They get to see the chemistry between two different wrestlers. I remember back in the late 80s, the house show in Milwaukee was Jake Roberts versus the Macho Man.
Yeah.
2 heels against each other. Were you kidding me? Turns out 2 months after that, they're on Saturday Night's Main Event and they're in a program. So house shows is where you get to see the future feuds.
Future feuds on house shows. Well, interesting.
Or nowadays, if you go to the weekend house shows, you will see a preview of what will probably happen on Raw or SmackDown.
Yeah, or you get hit in the head with a glow stick.
You got nailed in the chest. That was tremendous.
We're going to be live with you again next Monday night. Remember, if you're going to be out at WrestleMania, we are going to be covering it like no other from Phoenix, Arizona. Our broadcast and taping schedule from Baby Steak and Lemonade is available now at pwrshow.com. Be sure to tune in to pwrshow.com for more special editions of PWR Interactive available all week exclusively at pwrshow.com.
And RSVP if you're coming to Babies.
WM26, as in WrestleMania 26, WM26 at pwrshow.com. This is the award-winning Pro Wrestling Report. Thank you very much for tuning in to tonight's edition live on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.